Good evening and welcome to Game 2 of tonight's night series doubleheader as Bayswater and Floreat Athena face off in the NPL edition of the pre-season Cup Final. Tommy Dolman once again joining you at a floodlit Frank Drago reserve roughly an hour after Forestfield United beat Guelph Croatia 3-1. A minute's silence for Giuliano Cantoni, former WA player, coach, ref and assessor.
To observe the 1 minute silence for the passing of Giuliano Cantoni.
So big game this one. The NPL Night Series final. Bayswater City and Floreat Athena. Both of these teams have successful history in WA football, but they'll be craving a swift return for challenging at the top end of the table after a fairly frustrating 2018 season for both sides. And whilst both of them showed strength towards the back end of 2018, the early evidence of 2019 suggests that strength is set to continue with an impressive showing from both so far in this competition. Moments away from a kickoff here, and I'm glad to be joined by Alex Navatsas tonight for the broadcast of the live stream, accessible via the Football West Facebook page and their YouTube channel. Alex, how was your off season? What are you expecting tonight?
Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, listen, it's been at Football West. There's no off season. It's basically a financial year that kicks on to the next one. But I tell you, tonight it's going to be a game where the two opponents in Bayswater City and Floreat Athena, with the potential of being two top four clubs this year. With Bayswater City, a couple of great signings in Gordon Smith and Daryl Nicol, and Floreat Athena with some of the class in Dean Evans, Saldara's brothers, with Chris not playing tonight. But I think definite two top four teams for this year.
Yeah, on the strength of their off-season signings, you'd have to say that they're going to be towards the top end of the bracket, that's for sure. Clear night at Frank Drago Reserve, with a little bit of light drizzle falling in the past 2 or 3 minutes or so. We've had a bit of rain in Perth, but that's often a good thing, as that means the start of the football season is back, and that means that many will once again go through the process of hope and optimism as they chase titles and league survival. Who will get their hands on the first piece of silverware in the NPL this season? Bayswater and Floreat here at Frank Drago Reserve for you tonight. And it's an early touch for Floreat Athena as they win an early free kick. As we said, plenty of changes in the off-season so far, but one of those constants from recent years is Dean Evans, who's sitting over this free kick at the moment. And a good early chance for Floreat to put some real quality into the box. Ball in from Evans, deep to the back post, headed. Well, it looked like it could have gone across goal, but it didn't. Ninkovic looks to play it back. Calvin Whitney looks to try and keep that in. Can't do so, off the bar in the end. And striking towards goal by Phil Arnold, who, well, that was a nervy early moment for Bayswater, Alex.
Yeah, it didn't look like Ludeman was sure where that was going, and the cross goes shot, Rick just hitting the top of the crossbar and bouncing off. So some early signs with Floreat attacking with strength.
Tom Jebb lining up at right back for Floreat Athena, former Perth Soccer Club player and also represented Forestfield United in 2018. Forestfield, of course, winning the previous game 3-1. Thanks to goals from Jared McNally, Reece Loxley and Dan Corbett. Quickly taken free kick from Bayswater. A cut inside and a strike at goals just wide. And that was Ross Millard on the far side for Bayswater City, lining up at left back today. Another drive from long range, and as we saw in the previous game, there was quite a few goals from distance. It just shows that it's good to try around from range early.
Yeah, Millard, another signing, one of the trio that have come from ECU, and you're right, from the game previous, shots are plenty, and the ball just sliding off the slick field out there, and it's good to see a little bit of class and players not scared to have a strike.
Arnold. Steins. Was he fouled there? Referee let that one go as Arnold looks to continue forward. And going into the area was Robert Petkov, but Spence did well to gather that one. Ball forward once again. This one's looking for Gordon Smith. As Alex said, one of the ECU trio that have joined Bayswater this season, with Ross Millard and Daryl Nicol wearing the bright yellow boots on the left wing. It looks like he's starting in tonight. A 28-year-old Scottish striker who was the gold medal and golden boot winner last season. As Floreat come forward again, and here's Nicol. Ball forward looking for Gordon Smith. Ex-Hearts and Livingston forward. And we avoided any rain during the half-time interval, Alex, but it looks like it's just starting to come down a little bit heavier now.
Yeah, it does, and it's going to just make it the more interesting for the players and the skill level to hopefully go up a notch.
Here's Hegney. Tong cleared away, and Tong will mop this up. Throw in to be taken on this near side by Marco Sansalucia, another former Perth Soccer Club player, and playing on the opposite defensive flank to Tom Jebb. Evans. Steins. In fact, it was Whitney who was in position there. Arnold. Now here's Steins twisting in the area, shot at goal and gathered by Spence. So the shot at goal didn't quite have the power on it to trouble Spence, but both sides trying their luck from distance early. And I see someone's found some horns behind the goal. Looks like their little pocket of Athena fans there braving the conditions. No real wind to speak of, but there's still light drizzle, and as we saw in the first game, it took a little bit of time to adjust to the greasy conditions. Whitney, Jebb. And here's Ninkovic. Former Bayswater player, of course. Santa Lucia with a little bit of space on this left-hand side. Looks to play the ball into the middle, and Spence gathers quite comfortably. Alex, it's as we just wait for this attack to break down, Alex, there's been a tremendous reaction to this game tonight. There's a fantastic crowd. There was a great crowd at the first game as Ninkovic is fouled there a little bit late. Football West have got to be fairly pleased with how the doubleheader has worked out overall, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the ideas at the start of the year was to ensure that we had a doubleheader for the State League and the NPL Night Series final. And just looking at the crowd and finally finding out the final figure, there's approximately just over 2,000 people that are in attendance. It's probably one of our biggest finals probably in the last few years. So, yeah, very exciting times, and hats off as well to Bayswater City Soccer Club with the lighting.
It's definitely a appealing thing to have the floodlights here at Bayswater, and this is probably their first proper outing with a meaningful crowd in attendance, and so far it's been a terrific show. It's always a good sign when the overflow parking out the back is packed. Here's Steins driving through midfield, slid in there, and he was probably lucky he didn't catch Tong there. Tong joined Bayswater last season. And here's Adam Harris. Pretty consistent player on that right-hand side. Mirko giving chase to Gallen. But no real danger there in the end. Dennis Gallen. Floreat, of course, have tasted cup success fairly recently. They lifted the State Cup in 2016 and played Melbourne City in the FFA Cup round of 32. It was a late goal from John Steins in a 1-0 win over Coburn that day. And often these pre-season tournaments can be much maligned and taken seriously by some and not so much by others, Alex, but on occasions it can also give you a real platform, and there was plenty of joy from Forestfield after the game before as the ball through from Petkov just quickly went through and it was cleared away. Evans up for the header. Harris will compete for that, and it goes out for a throw-in.
Yeah, you're right, and to having a look at the two teams, the lineups that they've currently got, you can see that they're obviously now settling for their starting 11 with the season now only a week away, and yeah, Floreat obviously missing Chris Soldaris due to work commitments, and Bayswater looking like almost a full-strength side out there.
Floreat, of course, defeated Bayswater earlier in this night series 4-0. I think it was 5-0 actually. It was their only loss of the night series to date, and no doubt they'll be looking to get a bit of revenge here as Lloyd's slide-roo ball was cut out on that occasion. Here's Steins, looking busy early. Ninkovic, caught late, no foul. Whitney, Calvin Whitney, formerly in Perth Glory's youth setup before having a spell with Coburn. Jeb forward. Petkov's going to chest that, but he's offside. So, fairly lively opening 10 minutes or so here at Frank Drago Reserve. Both teams have fired a few efforts from distance, but a little bit like the first game, Alex, the quality in the final third, I think the players are just kind of getting to grips with the greasy conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, obviously, first 15 minutes in, 10-15 minutes in, and players still timid, and as they get into their attacking third, obviously testing each other. And yeah, you're right though, it's in the first game exactly the same scenario in terms of how it started. Just having a look there, looks like there's an injury now with Floreat, one of the Floreat players being treated. It might be, it's not.
It's a little bit like Ninkovic.
Yeah, Ninkovic just being treated. Yeah, you're right, and getting up a bit ginger there. So yeah, hopefully all okay there.
Yeah, those contact injuries can hurt in conditions like this, especially early in the season when the body might not be quite as up to speed as it usually is during the season proper. As I was saying before, Bayswater lost their only game of this night series, NPL night series, when they lost earlier as a ball comes into the area from Millard and cleared away by Santa Lucia, I think that was, at the back post. As you said earlier, Alex, it's Chris Saldaris is out, so Jesse Fuller, who normally plays in midfield, has stepped into that centre-half position next to Dennis Gallen tonight, who's been a long-standing player of Floreat Athena Gallen. He's a bit of a utility man, can fill in really any position on the park. Such a handy player to have in at this level. Free kick for Bayswater City. It's Jack Allen. Stood over it, formerly of Floreat. Plenty of talent when he broke onto the scene, but suffered an ACL injury in 2016. His ball goes forward and it's flicked on by Daryl Nicol, but he drifts behind for a goal kick. So both of these teams have a little bit of pedigree in the night series competition. Bayswater have won 5 night series titles. And Floreat chasing their 7th, winning their most recent one last year, and are looking to go back to back in this competition. Turn by Arnold, seasoned veteran at this level, formerly of Stirling. Mirko with a good win in the end from Spencer's clearance. Here's Arnold again. Steins. Fuller. Ninkovic. Nice football from Floreat. And then the commentators Kirsch strikes and Jeb punts a long diagonal straight into the grateful hands of Spence. As I touched on earlier, both of these teams were in rip-roaring form towards the end of 2018. Floreat really picked up their form when Garrett McDouling joined the club from Perth Soccer Club. They won 7 of their last 9 NPL games in 2018, and Bayswater also made a late run to the finals before they were knocked out to Coburn in the first week. Going forward from Millard now, who's overlapping. Cross took a deflection, it's behind for a corner. The advantage was played, I think that's Nicol down on the far side, and referee Stephen Gregory there letting that one go on. There might be a talking to Tom Jebb. By Stephen Gregory. Nicol goes over to take the corner. Tong, Lloyd, Harris, all forward in the Floreat penalty area. I'm not sure what's happening below us. Looks like an early substitution actually for Floreat, and I think that might be Luka Ninkovic, who obviously didn't recover from his previous injury, and I think it's Nick Ambrosio, another former Perth Soccer Club player who's coming onto the pitch to replace him. So the homecoming for Luka Ninkovic is cut short early. We've got a set piece here. Nichols ball in, it's a deep one, and Fuller watches that one out. So a fairly cagey opening period at the moment. Is it simply a matter of just keeping a little bit of composure on the ball and keeping that control early in the game?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, be it that even though it is a pre-season final, it's still a final. So obviously players are a little bit timid in terms of what they're doing and obviously nervous. But as the game progresses, you'll see a lot more happening, and especially with the attacking prowess of both sides. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few goals in this, and as we can see, some of the attacking options of with Floreat, you've got Petkov now, Ambrosio, and obviously with Bayswater in Smith, absolutely making absolute delight to watch him during the pre-season cup.
The second half of our double header here at Frank Drago Reserve. Bayswater City 0, Floreat Athena 0. Strong challenge there from Harris, who was then fouled by Calvin Whitney. Both of these teams have also had undefeated seasons in fairly recent times as well. Bayswater, obviously, I think it was 2016 or 2015, they were a really powerful side. They won 4 NPL titles in 5 years. As ball comes into the area and goes down to ground, and a volley comes in and over the bar from Jack Allen. But there was a temporary appeal for a penalty there. Was there enough in that for the referee to act on it, Alex?
Yeah, no, I think good decision there. It didn't look like there was too much there. Obviously some contact, but obviously not enough to warrant a penalty. And you can see by players' reactions, one would shout and not give it, and everyone just moves on.
So important to get that early goal, of course, in these conditions. Firm header from Tong. Whitney. And Ambrosio, of course, who's on the field now. Throw in quickly taken. Jeb and Ambrosio combining. Pearson. Ryan Pearson, of course, joined Bayswater mid-season from Sorrento last year, having played several years at the goals. The header cleared away from Fuller. We'll just see what comes of this throw-in. As Millard and Nickel exchange passes, turned over though, and long downfield. That should really be mopped up by one of Tong or the centre half partner Steve Hesketh, but there's a little bit of a apprehensive buzz around the crowd at the moment, Alex. Both teams just sort of lacking that punch going forward, and there's a nice little buzz about the crowd, but it's not quite as lively as what it was earlier at the moment.
Yeah, I think once a goal comes about, I think the crowd will liven up a bit, and you're right though, as you said, in that attacking third, just that final killer pass or killer finish to basically make the difference.
Harris's ball into the area, cleared away by Jeb at that back post. Ryan Pearson regathers possession, loses it though, and here comes Calvin Whitney. He's got John Stones side of him. In fact, I've got the two of them muddled up. It's Steins now who's on that ball and winning a free kick. And this is a really good opportunity for Floreat here. Looks dead central, about 25 yards out from goal, and you'd suggest that Dean Evans will probably hit this one. He's a fairly consistent set-piece taker. And usually a good decision maker on the ball, but it would be wise not to get a shot on goal here. Whitney looks to be somewhat walking to the other side of the ball. Here's Evans. Over the wall and deflects behind for a corner. And Floreat have a set piece in front of the goal where their pocket of loyal supporters are shouting and cheering. In swinger from the left and headed away by Bayswater captain there. Here he is again, Allen. Forward by Harris. Tong. Does really well there, Adam Tong. A little bit happening off the ball, but that's a cracking pass from Tong, who's got Gordon Smith running and he's outside. Here's Smith now into the area. Comes back inside and oof, cleared away. Combination of goalkeeper and defender. But nice ball from Tong, and Gordon Smith did well there and then put a dangerous pass into the area. As Floreat looked to counter, Petkov's offside. He went just a little bit too early there. And good news for the fans on the bank who are standing in front of us. This rain has thankfully started to calm down a little bit. So we've played just under a third of the game. Alex, what do you make of this opening period so far?
Yeah, I think it's an even match at the moment. Obviously, both sides having their opportunities. Obviously, there Bayswater with Gordon Smith attacking and showing a bit of class inside the 18 yard box. But looks like a foul there. Harris on Evans.
On Arnold?
Arnold, apologies. This pole in my way.
Yes, that pole's been giving me some problems as well in the first two games so far, but long ball forward and Smith's offside there. Smith represented Scotland at junior levels. As I said before, a former Hearts and Livingston player, and really did form a formidable partnership with Daryl Nicol at ECU Joondalup, and Bayswater will be hoping they can bear the fruits of that relationship going into this season. As Gallen goes forward, Santa Lucia wins that header. Here's Whitney into the area. Calvin Whitney, ball across. Nikovic hands. Is he offside? No. And away from Tong. So a hairy moment there. And going up the other end now, it's Nicol. Daryl Nicol uses his pace. Looks for the ball. Mirko. So end-to-end action here at Frank Drago Reserve. Jason Mirko looks to get the better of two Floreat defenders, but in the end wins the throw-in. And well, I thought he was offside there, Alex, but that was close as we just let this throw-in take place. Here's Lloyd, and deflected and away into touch.
Yeah, it was very close, but I'll definitely put my money on the AR there, the assistant referee Josh Manella. Being an A-League assistant, I would hope he'd definitely get that right. And also on the other assistant is also another A-League assistant referee.
Here's Lloyd in the area, turns, looks to get the ball back there, and it's hit by Millard. High and wide. And it'll take a while to get that ball back, so Stephen Gregory calls for a new one. Jason Saldaris won't be waiting around for that one. A very consistent goalkeeper in the NPL, Jason Saldaris. Brother of Chris, of course, who's missing tonight. 6 clean sheets in 2018, but it certainly felt like he kept Athena in a lot of games on their rise towards the top 4, where they kind of ran out of games in the end. They finished 6 points behind Bayswater in the final shake-up in 2018, but as I mentioned, big improvers after a fairly disastrous start. Here's Jack Allen, Ross Millard, Nickel, Hesketh, and Tong. Ball forward, they're looking for Smith again as they're coming together. A referee says, get up boys, play on. There's just a little bit of a lull at the moment after a period of excitement there. Well, both teams look dangerous going forward. There was a really good chance for Floreat Athena moments ago, and I think it was Nick Ambrosio who was onside in the area there, and I thought he was offside, but the referee on the far side kept his flag down, and in the end I think he had a little bit more time than he really expected. Pearson. Millard, long upfield. Jeb. And Jeb again, out overlapping on the outside. Whitney, little flick through looking for Petkov. Doesn't win it. Jeb slides in again, and Nickel gets his number on that occasion. So we touched on the 3 ECU Joondalup players joining Bayswater this season. 3 players from the same club's quite a unusual number in terms of turnaround from one team to another. But is the fact there's 3 of them all coming together, will that help them gel quicker into this lineup? And obviously it depends on how Chris Coyne wants them to play, but how quickly do you think we can see that relationship flowing?
Yeah, and I have to correct myself because I've just noticed that it's actually 4 from ECU with Adam Tong was the 4th of the quartet. But yeah, you're right. It's I think they'll gel quite well, and with Chris obviously with a different style to how Dale McCulloch would play. I think the 4 boys, and Adam Tong has played under Chris before, so I'm sure that would help and obviously help the team as well.
Here's Jeb. Millard beats his opposite marker to the ball, and Bayswater have a chance to counter. Lloyd. Florida managed to get some numbers back, and Allen saw something out of the corner of his eye that wasn't quite there. Gallen. Is Fuller forward. Millard into the car park. Ball forward here looking for Steins, who's looking to give Millard problems, but none on this occasion. Floreat have scored 23 goals and conceded just 4 in their 6-night series games so far, but despite a fairly convincing campaign where they've scored 5 goals twice and 4 goals once, they needed penalties to get past newcomers Rockingham City after a 2-2 draw. The ball into the area and Allen clears away. So a fairly similar pattern to the first game developing so far. Both teams struggling to really keep control of possession, and maybe a little more composure on the ball may help, and that quality in the final third not quite up to scratch, but there's some quality players out here, and I'm sure that a chance will come shortly. Here's Mirko now, very capable of putting something on a platter to his front line, and he wins a corner as that annoying drizzle starts to trickle down again. Not too serious though, as the crowd showing plenty of adversity in the wet conditions. It's corner to be taken by Mirko here. It's a low one. And it was looking for Nickel, who had a swing and a miss. And Flo to look to counter, but the ball couldn't find the feet of Steins. Chance again, but Arnold there winning the throw-in. Santa Lucia's running forward here and drifts out for a Bayswater throw-in. Bayswater, of course, such a dominant side at the turn of the decade, winning 4 titles in 5 years, as I touched on earlier. Gustavo Marilander, I believe, was the top scorer in each of those seasons, but he's not in the team today, and it'll be interesting if they can get Gustavo back as to how he'll fit into this lineup with Gordon Smith and Daryl Nickel. Ambrosio was looking for Arnold on the right-hand side. He's switched flanks with Steins now. Millard. Ooh, both players sliding into that one. It looks like Millard's come off worse, but they're both up now. Here's Petkov, does really well to hold that up. Ball into the middle, and Spence will catch that comfortably. Gallen, eyes on the ball only there, but caught Lloyd, and he'll be the first one to go into the referee's notebook in the NPL Night Series final. Fair yellow card?
Yeah, fair yellow card, and it's knowing Stephen Gregory, if you do get a yellow card, it definitely has to be one. So he manages the game well, and obviously in this instance he felt it was yellow, which I'll agree with him there as well.
I think it was a clumsy foul more than a reckless foul from Gallen. He had eyes for the ball, but had a Bayswater player coming the other way. As the free kick from Pearson's rather wasted. And Pearson's under this ball again and winning it. Jeb. Arnold. And Fuller away. And out for a throw-in. Here's Smith, who strikes, and it's, well, it was a bit of a bolt out of the blue from Gordon Smith, who turned 25 to 30 yards out from goal, and in the end it needed a sharp save from Saldaris to push that one around the post.
Yeah, great save, very sharp save, as you said, by Saldaris, and just shows the form that he's been in during the night series and carrying it on from last year where he won Goalkeeper of the Year.
Tough one to save on the skidding turf, but another corner for Bayswater. Ball comes in. Saldaris looked like he misjudged that for a moment, but did enough to glove that one away, and the clearance was completed by the Floreat defender, and nothing comes of the follow-up. It was Arnold back there doing... Ambrosio, sorry, who was back there doing the defensive duties. Played a key role in Perth Soccer Club's run to the FFA Cup round of 32 a couple of years ago. Perth obviously eliminated by Rockdale City Suns. Here's Allen, poor clearance from Jesse Fuller. Mirko looks to put a ball in, he's got men in the area. And in the end, Fuller did just enough to get that one away. Smith and Nickel were lurking behind him. And Ambrosio finds touch once again on that far side. Bayswater looking to take that throw in quickly, but Stephen Gregory's not letting him take it from that far forward. Mirko. Linesman's got his flag up here. It'll be a foul. This looks like Santa Lucia left a leg in there on Mirko and caught the winger, who had a pretty good 2018 season last year, Jason Mirko, a real long-serving NPL WA player who's more than capable on his day of delivering some real quality. Allen's ball into the box, and it's the header, and it was Tong that got his head to the ball, but that was never really threatening Saldaris. So just still sensing that little bit of frustration at the moment as we head towards half-time. 2 or 3 minutes remaining before the break. And it's been a first half that's really been devoid of final third quality, but here's a chance for Floreat to go forward now with Steins. Turns and looks ahead. Hasn't really got many options, so spreads the play wide to the far side, and the cross into the area, and Harris heads away. Santa Lucia. Whitney. Calvin Whitney drives on the left, it's blocked. And Ambrosio, right hand side into the middle, and Tong tries to break a windscreen with that clearance. I'm not sure what's happening here. Did you see what happened there, Alex?
No, it looks like something's been said, and Adam Tong being told to calm down by his teammates and referee Stephen Gregory, which I think he's got on with it now.
Time ticking down to half-time here. A goal for Floreat would be most welcome. A little bit of an issue getting a ball back into play. We'll watch this set piece unfold, and then we'll get your thoughts on the first half, Alex. I thought it might have been a corner, but it's actually going to be a throw-in. They've still got the bodies forward, though. It's a long ball into the area. It's cleared by Millard. Here's Dean Evans, who's going to strike from that distance, and I think it was always rising over Spencer's goal. Fourth official just about to put his board up. Most likely a minute of additional time, although we have had to wait a little while for the football to get into play on occasions with a lot of clearances. Allen lunged in there on Ambrosio, but a good challenge according to the referee. Saldaris away. Pearson wins that header. Nickel. He showed glimpses, but yet to really show what he's really made of. A really bright run down the left, and here he is again. That's a cracking ball into the area, and it was well judged by Saldaris in the end. Gallen, well, I assume he got a shout from his goalkeeper because he stood over that one pretty nonchalantly, and the goalkeeper gathered it as the ball goes forward once again from Floreat. Tong headers away. Calvin Whitney on this right-hand side. There are men forward here. Steins brings it down. A back heel there. And a nice ball here. Dean Evans is forward here. And Jeb! Was that Jeb? Well, I thought that was Thomas Jeb coming in at the back post there, but it was actually an acrobatic effort there from John Steins, who got into the ball really quickly there. So got into the box really quickly there to get on the end of that ball. Dean Evans coming over to take the corner. Headed away by Tong. And here's Daryl Nickel, and he's got Gordon Smith and Fuller ahead of him. Keeper's come out of his goal here, and luckily his clearance went straight to a cluster of Athena defenders, but it was a dangerous looking one-on-one moment there for Smith and Fuller. The strike here comes in from Calvin Whitney, but the block took the sting off that one. And here's Harris. 1 minute on the board from the fourth official. And that's going to go into touch from Spence. So, Alex, sum up your thoughts on the first half for us.
Yeah, I think it's been an even first half between the two sides, both having good opportunities, with Steins the latest one with his scissor on the side, reminding me of Pele back in Escape to Victory. But yeah, he did it against Rockingham as well and almost pulled one off there too. But as I said, Bayswater as well having their chances, and I think probably the last 10 minutes of the first half it's livened up.
Final chance for Bayswater here. It's Millard who puts the ball in looking at the back post, and that's going to drift out for a goal kick. And that might just about do it for the first half here at Frank Drago Reserve. And that will do it. So a fairly even first half, but also quite frustrating in terms of final third action. Really good chance for Floreat midway through that first half when Nicholas Ambrosio found space in the 6-yard box and possibly rushed his effort. While the best efforts for Bayswater have come down that left-hand side through Daryl Nichol, whose raw pace has caused Thomas Jebb and the Floreat defence some problems, but not a lot of clear-cut chances. Hopefully, in the second half, we'll see it open up a little bit more. Half-time here at Frank Drago Reserve, Bayswater Soccer Club 0, Floreat Athena 0. Back with the second half in around 10-15 minutes. this season was injured in the first 10 minutes. Looked like a knock, and with the season starting next week, there was no chances taken by Garrett McDouling, and Nick Ambrosio replaced him. Floreat open their season at home to Perth Glory next weekend. Glory, of course, who did so well last season and led the NPL in WA for a very long time, but couldn't quite get past the season's performance of Perth Soccer Club at the end of the season. Bayswater, meanwhile, have a tough start to the season away at Inglewood, a real blockbuster there. And Nickel allowed to play on there. It's a cracking ball through, and Saldaris had to be alert, smothered, and it sprung out, and Saldaris is down here, and this doesn't look good. The physios are called on straight away. It was a wonderful through ball from Daryl Nickel, and Gordon Smith slid in, looking to get on the end of that ball, and Saldaris was brave to come out and clear that ball, but it fears that the goalkeeper's come off worse here, and he's understandably getting plenty of attention from both sets of medical staff here. Both teams will come to the near side to take in some refreshments in the meantime. And you can just hear the atmosphere's sunk a little bit here after that incident. Thankfully, it looks like Saldaris is okay now. He's sitting up. And understandably, with those sorts of challenges, it's pivotal to be doubly and triple sure that the player is okay to continue. He's still gathering himself by the looks of things on the pitch, but he's getting back up to his feet now to a very warm round of applause from the Bayswater crowd for the visiting goalkeeper. Saldaris now back in goal, and we should be set for a restart again fairly soon. Terrific goalkeeping from the Floreat goalkeeper, though, who read that through ball from Nickel perfectly, and it was a really courageous thing to come sliding out into oncoming traffic like that. Gallen manages to hoist that one away. Hesketh puts that one forward. Ambrosio appeals for a foul, doesn't get it. Maybe he does, yeah. Stephen Gregory wanted to see if that would develop, but it didn't. Throw-in on the far side for Floreat here. Foul there. No, throw in. Was actually. So, much like the first half, it's been a very stop-start beginning to the second half so far. That's a great ball in from Steins. That looked like a handball to me, and it was. And well, that was a possible opening there. It was John Steins who managed to put the cross into the area, and Ambrosio raised his hand to try and control the ball, but he actually had Robert Petkov in behind him, and maybe better communication there, and that could have been a goal. But that was a very tight call yet again from the linesman as Alex Navatsas joins us again. First of all, Petkov comes through, has Steins running on his outside and into touch from Millard. Alex joins us again. Alex, good to have you back. And the second half has started much like the first.
Yeah, it has, and it's good to see. It's livened up a lot as well, and it's good to actually see Jason Soldaris back up on his feet as well after the head clash he had earlier.
Jeb goes into the area. Steins is onside here, gets to it first, and the volley, and the referee's whistle's blown. A whistle I didn't hear and a flag I didn't see either. So a little bit of confusion there for the moment. It looked like a pretty good chance for Petkov there to get a shot on target, but I think the referee's hand was raised, indicating a likely offside decision there. A few tough calls to make, these assistants so far. Millard goes back to Spence, who hoists that one up. And that's out for a throw-in. So which team should be turning to their bench first here, Alex? As Ambrosio's fouled in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I think you'll find Bayswater will probably turn to their bench first. Floreat having already made a sub due to an injury there earlier in the first half with Ambrosio coming on. So, yeah, it may still be another 10-15 minutes before we see something happening within the technical areas.
Both sides with fairly young benches here. Trent Kay, the centre back, on Bayswater's bench, of course, the veteran and regular club captain, along with Jake Sardelic and Giordano Colli. Youngster Shaden Pasalacqua also may look to come on and freshen things up. Here's Lloyd. Millard. Nickel to Allen. Does really well there in that battle with Jeb. And in the end, Jeb comes back and responds with a pretty emphatic clearance, and coming together on the touchline here, nothing in that. Bayswater throw-in. We're coming up to the hour mark now, and still Bayswater City 0, Floreat Athena 0. Earlier on it was Forestfield United 3, Guelph Croatia 1. A tremendous second half comeback from Forestfield, who trailed 1-0 at the break but scored 3 goals in the second half to lift the State League Night Series trophy. Fairly good record in this competition over recent years, Forestfield, and Can either Floreat or Bayswater join them in lifting that pre-season silverware? Slide ball here through now, and it's Whitney who was looking to get on the end of that, but offside again. So what do the teams have to do here, Alex, to kind of force the matter a little bit? We're coming up to the hour mark now. Substitutions are available, but what can the players do on the field to try and just find that breakthrough?
Yeah, it just seems like it's going to be one of those games where potentially we're going to have a winner from a mistake from the opposition side. So I think the players have just got to hold their nerve and just ensure that they keep the errors to a minimum.
Yeah, and they've defended well so far, both teams tonight. It really has been chances few and far between in this game of the clear-cut nature. I don't think either goalkeeper has had a memorable save to make of any sort. And Lloyd fouls Ambrosio there, who there was a pretty firm coming together, but nothing in that once again. Here's Santa Lucia on the far side, and he wins a corner. Calvin Whitney over to the far side to take this corner. Held both hands in the air on his way over. And he's done it again with the ball in his hands as well. I wonder what that means. We'll find out shortly anyway. Jack Allen comes out to defend the short or low ball. It's Whitney's corner in. Headed towards goal. I think Petkov got his head to it and it was scrambled away from Bayswater. Clearance somewhat by Mirko. Shot from Ambrosio headed into Allen. And Stephen Gregory brings that back for a foul. So it just goes to show what a quality set piece can do there. There was a little bit of chaos in the Bayswater penalty area there for a moment.
Yeah, it was. And look, you're right. I think it was Petkov with a header there and just a bit of mayhem within the 6-yard box there. But again, Bayswater defended well and managed to get rid of the danger. And it looks like we've got an injury here as well for Bayswater. Which it might be Millard. Actually, Lloyd, apologies.
I'm not sure who that is that's down at the moment. But doesn't look particularly good. It's actually Gordon Smith that's down at the moment. And hopefully he'll be okay to continue. Bayswater's new signing gets a little bit of magic spray by the look of that. And he gets to his feet, but he's still a little bit proppy there, and I'm not sure if he looks like he'll be okay to continue.
Yeah, he doesn't look well. He's taken 3-4 steps and he's stopping again. So, yeah, it may be the end of the night now for Smith. Hopefully not, but yeah, it doesn't look too good for him at the moment.
Yeah, it's with the season starting next weekend, I'm not sure you want to be taking a chance on one of your main attacking options. I haven't seen a substitute be called yet. They might give him a little bit of time to recover from this on the sideline, but for the moment, Bayswater are going to have to defend this set piece with 10 men. Smith still getting treatment on the far side. Evans is over this set piece. He's had one of these already. Evans over the wall, and what a save from Spence. I think that was arrowing into the top corner, and Spence got across his line well and palmed that one away. Yeah,
great strike by Dean Evans, one of the best set-piece takers within the NPL and WA, and Devon Spence up to the task and just tipping it over the crossbar.
Evans skips over to take the subsequent corner. Noel comes in there and Tong gets his head down and nods that one away. Jeb puts it back in the area. And at the back post here is Arnold, who cuts in, scrambled away. Is it over? It's an absolute mad scramble and blazed over the bar. Well, it was a chaotic passage of play. I think Phil Arnold put the initial ball back across goal. And about 4 or 5 players fell on top of the ball, and eventually it squirted back out to Dean Evans, who really just lashed that one over the bar. But that was that woke the crowd up a little bit, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the middle of the grandstand, people are telling us that had gone in, so they've got better eyes than Inspector Gadget. But I tell you what, it looked like Bayswater were in more trouble than the early settlers, because it was just didn't want to go in. It hit everything bar the back of the net.
I think that was Adam Tong on the line, who was doing his best to sort his feet out, but whichever way he did it effectively, because it's kept the score 0-0. And Bayswater survive for the time being. But that's got the crowd on their feet a little bit. There might have even been a shout for a penalty in there. There was plenty of bodies sliding around in there. It would have been impossible to see whether a foul was committed amongst all that. As Petkov breaks away again. He's got Whitney on his outside. Was he fouled? Petkov's appealing to Gregory. And in the end, it's cleared away by Tong, but that looked like a pretty good shout for a penalty to me, Alex.
Yeah, it did, and it looks like just following the descent, Petkov making a longer run than his original one to get to Gregory. He's obviously said something, and Gregory's now cautioned him for descent. So subsequently will now be an indirect free kick from where the descent occurred. So, yeah, it's you're right. From up here, it definitely did look like a fair shout for a penalty, but we move on and the score stays at 0-0.
A couple of good moments here for Floreat in the last few minutes. Petkov broke away from the last man and tumbled in the area, but neither the linesman or referee Stephen Gregory deemed it to be a foul, and the game went on. But fans were up in arms once again, and just sense it's starting to step up a little bit going into the last quarter of the game. Allen, great challenge on Whitney. Wins the ball cleanly. Here's Nickel. Hasn't really been that busy in this second half, but plays a nice ball through there. Smith, who's back on the pitch, runs onto it, and Saldaris bravely out to collect again. He's already been out to smother at the feet of Smith once in this game, and he took a nasty knock for it. So well done again from the goalkeeper to read that play, and he really is an underrated goalkeeper, Jason Saldaris. One of the best in the division for mine. And here he is again collecting that ball. As Alex watches a replay of the goalmouth scramble in front of me. Can you make any sense of that, Alex? I still can't.
It just looked like Tong was doing his best to trip over his own feet. But, yeah, you're right. And it was chaos. And but, again, Bayswater defending gallantly and just great work, and looked like a strike there by, I'd say, Evans at the end that went over the crossbar.
Whitney puts a nice ball into the area there. Harris got his boot to it, straight up in the air. Arnold's chest. Nickel, Lloyd. Looked like it could have been a turnover, but Tong does really well to win that. And wins a free kick to the ire of the Bayswater, the Floreat fans. And we just watched a replay of that penalty appeal, and it did look like that Petkov was challenged from behind, but The referee must have deemed that part of the ball was taken for that not to have been given as a spot kick. Mirko. Whitney wriggles away but loses out there to Hesketh. Arnold. Gallen. Ball over the top here. Looking for Arnold. Arnold's on the ball here. He's looking for Steins at the back post. Who heads in? Goal for Floreat. And John Steins, scorer of crucial cup goals, has done it again. Bayswater City 0, Floreat Athena 1.
Yeah, and it just the last 5-10 minutes, it did look like that was coming. A great ball whipped in there, and Steins at the back post just to not at home. Great, it's just been a great ball knocked in and a great finish.
It was a tremendous ball to the back post. We've seen a lot of back post deliveries so far tonight, but a lot of them have been wayward, and on that occasion it was absolutely perfect for John Steins, who read that delivery perfectly at the back post and nodded in from yards out. Devon Spence with no chance there. The flight of the ball just deceived him completely from the cross, and well, we've got a game for Bayswater to chase now. Under their floodlights, at their home grounds. Can they find a leveller? As Alex said, he just felt that Floreat were getting the upper hand in the past 5 or 10 minutes, and it was a tremendous cross in. I think it was Phil Arnold on that left-hand side, or perhaps it was Calvin Whitney. It was a little bit difficult to see who delivered that cross in on the far side, but there was no doubt about the scorer in John Steins. Very dangerous midfield player who more or less plays as a forward these days. He loves getting into the box and scoring goals, and that was the perfect example of just that. So, 20 minutes to go here. Bayswater City 0, Floreat Athena 1. Floreat go forward again. Daryl Nichols looks to get on the end of this. He does. Cleared away emphatically by Fuller, who's been really good tonight for Floreat. They are missing Chris Saldaris, of course, who's normally a mainstay of that back line. But Gallen and Fuller have done really well, and obviously Ludovic Boyce still to come back into this team as well. 2015 gold medal winner as well. As Millard comes forward here, he's got Smith in the area, and Millard goes for goal, and well, Smith and Nicol and Lloyd were all getting into the area there, and I think they're a little bit disappointed by the quality of that decision.
Yeah, it just looked like, I think it was Millard decided to have a strike rather than whip the ball in. He had both Nicol and Smith making dangerous runs into the penalty area, and he decided to go on his own, and obviously ball travelling well and truly over the goal.
What do Bayswater have to do to get back into this game, Alex?
I think they just now need to take risks. They can't sit back on their laurels now. They have to move forward. They have to play balls into dangerous spaces and ensure that they try to break the lines of Floreat as well.
How long do you think it'll be before we see Adam Tong perhaps move up further forward as that auxiliary target man for those strikers like Smith and Nicol to run off?
Yeah, to be honest, it'd probably be within the last 5-10 minutes, similar to back in the late 2000s when Sorrento would do that to Jamie Harnwell and just throw him into the box there and knock the ball into the mixer and try work off his flick-ons.
Here's Mirko from the left-hand side, headed away again by Fuller, who's been absolutely brilliant tonight. Allen's ball back into the area. Smith jumped for that, couldn't win it. And Floreat will come away with it here. Steins wriggles away from the challenge. There's a 3-on-3 here. He's got Petkov to his left. Steins continues his run. It's still 3-on-3. Petkov cuts in from the left, strikes deflection and into the arms of Spence. And I guess when you're chasing a game, you've got to be aware that these counter-attacking situations could arise and you've got to keep your wits about you.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to go 2-0 down in a cup final because with the last 15-20 minutes, it basically almost closes the door and give Floreat, in this instance, the composure and the confidence to keep playing.
You're certainly right about keeping that composure. And can Floreat hold their nerve? They've defended so well tonight against this talented attacking trio. As Petkov's flagged for offside and Spence gives him a little nudge to try and get the ball back quickly into play. Tong. Millard. And here's Nicol. Ball was just off that wavelength that Smith was on. Here's Petkov. And a little bit of off the ball here, and well, Pearson and Whitney, and the red card's out from Stephen Gregory. I think that's Calvin Whitney that's been shown the yellow card there, and the red card, I apologise. And yes, it's Whitney who did receive that red card. Ryan Pearson also received red moments earlier, and you're just hoping that there's a little bit of a gap between them as they walk off, but a really silly coming together in the middle of the park there. There was nothing really on the line as such, and both players just saw red for a minute there.
Yeah, listen, it looks like, I mean, the first, absolutely, there's no issue there with the red. It just looked like Steins, like you said, Steins had lost his head and basically put his head a bit against each other, and basically another deserved red card. And there's not much else the referee can do in that instance.
It was Calvin Whitney that received the red card for Floreat Athena there. Sorry, just so you're not confused at home, wherever you're watching. But we've seen it all over the world. You just can't get away with that nowadays. When heads meet, it's often only going to go one way, and both players saw red cards, and I imagine that'll mean a suspension for both in the opening round of the season, at least next week. Ball forward from Gallen, looking for Arnold, so 10-minute apiece for the final 15 minutes or so. And Allen manages to cut out that cross from Sans Lucia. And Gregory blows for the foul on Dennis Gallen, and it's just starting to get a little bit tetchy here now. There's still substitutes to be made for both sides here. It looks like Chris Coyne's going to pull the trigger on the bench. Of course, we're 10 players each in the last quarter of an hour of this game, and that could leave some open spaces for, well, I'm not sure it'll leave open spaces for Trent Kay up forward, but I imagine Trent Kay will come on, and at some point that will be the insurance for possibly Adam Tong to push further forward. Adam Harris goes off on the far side. What's the logic behind that change, Alex? Do you think that'll lead to Adam Tong pushing a little bit further forward?
Yeah, it looks like they're now playing three at the back, and it'll be a free kick. Referee Gregory just allows play to continue, goes for a goal kick. Yeah, I think they'll end up playing through at the back with now Trent Kay coming in. We'll give him a chance to throw Adam Tong up front and try cause a bit of a mess within the Athena defence. But as we said, still 15 minutes to go, and anything can still happen.
Adam Tong also has one of the longest throws in the division, so I'm sure that'll come in handy if things start getting a little bit desperate in the final 5 minutes or so. But there's still enough time for Bayswater here to equalise in this game. It's Bayswater City 0, Floreat Athena 1. And just sense that that goal was coming for Floreat when it did, but they've retreated somewhat, and Bayswater on the front foot trying to find that equaliser. Arnold wins the foul. The foul from Gordon Smith there, maybe a little bit frustrated that Bayswater didn't manage to retain possession up front. Of course, if Bayswater can force an equaliser in the final 10 minutes or so, as Smith receives a yellow card for that challenge, or possibly dissent, I'm not sure. But if Bayswater can force that equaliser, I'm fairly sure it would go straight to a penalty shootout. Is that correct, Alex? Yep. Just had that verified to me, so no extra time in the NPL night series. Straight to a shootout, which will provide a little bit of bonus fun for the fans, but I'm sure those wearing white will be hoping it doesn't get to that point. As Tong wins a foul in the corner, but it's at the wrong end of the field at the moment for Bayswater. They really need to start thinking about taking some risks soon, you suspect. Allen was one forward, still wearing the captain's armband, Jack Allen, despite the introduction of veteran defender Trent Kay. And here's Jack Allen again. Here's Tong, Mirko, and Tong again. Can't find the pass for Smith. And Petkov's got a chance to break. He's all on his own. He's got Steins joining him now down that right-hand side. He's the only option that he's got. Didn't play the ball to Steins, and in the end, Petkov's kind of left to hold the ball up on his own. He's done fairly well, and in the end, he's done a brilliant job to win a foul there, Petkov. He was all on his own, battling two Bayswater defenders, and, well, this sort of situation plays right into Floreat's hands now, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It just slows the game down. Free kicks, they'll take their time. They won't hurry now. And obviously with that challenge, it looks like Trent Kay picking up a yellow card, only having come on probably 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Still time for Bayswater, or for Floreat to grab a second. They've got a free kick in a good position. Dean Evans just stood over it. Puts that one in there, and it's cleared the penalty area and goes out on the far side for a throw-in. Third and final substitution coming up for Bayswater City, and it's Giordano Colley, the youngster who's played most of his NPL football in the under-20s, but he'll get a chance for the final 7 minutes in place of Jason Mirko. Colley wearing a fairly visible arm brace of some sort. Hesketh and Evans puts that one into the fans, who are still out in their numbers on what has been a pretty good night for WA football overall. A great crowd here at Frank Drago Reserve for both games. And another yellow card comes out now from Stephen Gregory, and you're just sensing a little bit of frustration maybe coming into the game for Bayswater now as time ticks down.
Yeah, it just looks like, especially in that instance, Floreat having the extra bit of pace and obviously moving away, and just a reckless challenge there made by Jack Allen, and now the 2-3 yellow cards and red card as well. Just looks like, yeah, you're right, frustration is definitely building in with the last few minutes coming up.
Hopeful ball forward from Athena, and Santa Lucia can't keep that one alive as Colley gets involved for the first time since he came onto the pitch. Hesketh goes forward. Ball drops to the feet of Evans, and Jeb completes the clearance. Kay pushes the ball out to Tong. Tong again. Kay and Hesketh. Millard coming inside from this left-hand side, and Paul Lloyd, I think he did get to that one first, and Arnold commits the foul, so free kick in a good position here for Bayswater. It's got to be a hell of a strike to beat Saudaris from here, but nevertheless an inviting position for Bayswater to possibly make something happen. Bayswater 0, Floreat Athena 1. Earlier it was Forestfield United 3, Guelph Croatia 1. Colley chips one into the area. Ball breaks and cleared away from Floreat by Floreat. But it's going to come straight back into the area, or is it? Ball drop at the feet of Lloyd, who has it scrambled away from him by Phil Arnold on that far side, and Adam Tong will give us a sight of this throw that we've been talking about. Trent Kay also forward. Millard with the volley! Well, it dropped invitingly to Ross Millard there, who put a side foot volley just over the bar. It was an opportunistic piece of work on the edge of the area, and it was a nice little half chance there for Bayswater to find a leveller there. A change for Floreat here as Jack Andrews will come onto the field for Phil Arnold, who's put in a good shift tonight. Arnold to add a couple of younger legs in the remaining minutes. As far look to see this game out. What do you make of Phil Arnold's performance tonight, Alex? Pretty steady effort again. He always brings that work rate, doesn't he? And the Floreat attackers have really played off him well tonight.
Yeah, they have. Another honest shift by Arnold there, and they worked hard up front, closing down, just putting a press on the Baywater's defence, not to allow them to play up.
5 minutes of additional time here, shown by the fourth official. That's 5 minutes left for Bayswater to salvage this one, to force a late equaliser and a penalty shootout as Smith gets in behind again. Cleared away by Jeb, and Fuller again was sweeping behind, and I know John Steins has scored a decisive goal tonight, but Fuller's been tremendous in my opinion tonight as Tong hoists one in. Jeb away. The ball comes to Jack Allen. Oh, what a goal! An absolute blockbuster from Jack Allen. Pick that one out. And the home fans are loving it here. An absolute peach of a strike from Jack Allen. And it's Bayswater City 1, Floreat Athena 1. And it looks like we might be going to penalties. Wow. Some goal, that one. Jack Allen with a moment of magic there. And moments earlier, Ross Millard had a swing from outside the area, and on this occasion, Jack Allen did it, but to devastating effect. Cleared away by Lloyd. And Gregory, Stephen Gregory, the referee, blows for that foul. I've got to say, you'll go a long way to... I know it's only the start of 2019, and I know the NPL hasn't even started yet, but you go a long way to see a shot more sweetly struck than that. As good as it comes, really, from Jack Allen, who gave Jason Saldaris, absolutely no chance in the Floreat goal through a sea of bodies. And as they look to go forward again here, Bayswater. It's a chance for Colley and Lloyd. Millard. It couldn't be a remarkable comeback, could it? Ball looking for Nickel and hacked away by Fuller on that occasion. And Tong pokes that forward. And cleared out by Gordon Smith, who's more or less tunnelled Jason Saldaris to the ground there, and Saldaris again down, and well, we saw earlier in this second half he was in the wards after Smith cleared him out following a through ball, and again he's getting medical attention. So a little break in play for the moment. It looks like this game's going to go to a penalty shootout, so bonus football for the Bayswater crowd is due to come up, but gee, that must be disappointing from Floreat, who looked so assured at the back for so long, and a moment of magic from Jack Allen. Absolutely unstoppable, that one, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely, and it couldn't happen at a better time, really, in a cup final where, you know, last few minutes to go, equalising and deflating again for Floreat, but potentially going now to penalties. So let's see what happens in the last one or 2 minutes.
And they still do have a chance to record back-to-back NPL night series wins. They obviously won it last season. And they go again as clearance into the crowd was spiked back onto the pitch by a supporter. And a little bit of back and forth, but it looks likely that the shootout is imminent. Still time though. Here's Evans. And shouts for a handball there. That would have been very harsh, but that's it. Full time. Round of applause for both teams, but we're going to a penalty shootout here. Both managers shake hands. It's out of their hands now. And it all comes down to which players can hold their nerve from the spot. Now, it'll be interesting to see which players step up here. There's bound to be some tired bodies this early in the season. But we've also got plenty of experienced players here. So, Alex, ever taken a penalty before? What sort of nerves does it take to step up in these situations?
Yeah, listen, having had that happen to me previously, having won a night series and back when there was laces through balls in '97, it does. It's nerve-wracking, and obviously each team will select their first five, and then from there it continues on into sudden death. But now it's just a matter of nerve, and Jason Soldaris, who over the years has stepped up well, and he did it again last week where Floreat won 7-6 in penalties against Rockingham. So this is 2 weeks in a row that Floreat have had this, and it's the first time for Bayswater this season to go through to kicks from the penalty mark.
I know it's only early in the season, but we often see that the biggest and the best celebrations are often held by teams after a penalty shootout win. What sort of impetus does this give to the winner of this shootout, and does the loser of this shootout take any sort of negatives out of this?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons on both, and with Bayswater, you know, obviously showing in this instance that they can last and score again in the last minute or two to equalise, where Floreat 2 weeks in a row have conceded a goal to having to go through to this part into penalties from the mark. Again, they're now tossing the coin, and there's actually two tosses that occur now. One is toss the coin which end to take from, with the second one obviously who takes the penalty first. So it looks like they're going, I would say, to the southern end, I would call it, which is the Garrett Road end to take the penalties.
It's 1-1 after full time. Bayswater City and Floreat Athena. John Steins' goal midway through the second half looked for so long like it would be enough to see Floreat win, until Jack Allen popped up in the dying embers of the 90 minutes and struck an absolute peach into the bottom corner. Shades of Stephen Gerrard arrowing a low drive into the bottom corner in the FA Cup final in 2000 when they played West Ham. So it's shootout time. Floreat will step up first as the fans continue to congregate behind the penalty taker's goal. John Steins will step up first and send Devon Spence the wrong way. 1-0 to Floreat and an expertly taken penalty, Alex.
Yeah, definitely. Confident penalty, stepped up well, took it well. Actually looks like it may have been Petkov actually that had taken that. But again, a well-taken penalty. And now Soldaris playing games with Daryl Nicol.
My mistake, that might have been Petkov who put that one into the bottom corner. We are a fair way away from our broadcasting position as Nicol steps up and puts it in just about the same place and points to the fans behind the goal, and it's 1-1 in the shootout. So a little bit of tension building here. Frank Drago reserve. The crowd have hushed a little bit as Floreat step up for their second kick, and Evans makes no mistake and finds the opposite bottom corner. Spence once again going the wrong way, and Floreat lead 2-1 in the shootout. Three from three at the moment. Who will blink first? Two. Gordon Smith. And that's a very coolly taken penalty from Dennis Gallen there, who strikes that one into the top corner. And it's always risky trying to pick out those top corners, Alex, but when they go in, they look good, don't they?
Look magnificent, cleans out the cobwebs, and again, no one's going to stop it when it's that high, and he hit it with a bit of pace as well.
Paul Lloyd, can he answer? Oh, just beyond the reach of Saldaris. 3-3. And it's the youngster Jack Andrews who will step up now to take Floreat's fourth penalty. Starting to get to the point where a slip or a failure to keep your composure can lead to a defeat in the shootout, as Devon Spence, with a little bit of gamesmanship towards the youngster. Here's Andrews. Can he hold his nerve? He does. 4-3. And I've got to say, Alex, the quality of penalties on show has been pretty good so far. We know what these teams have been practicing in the pre-season so far.
Yeah, it looks like they have, and as we speak, we get probably the most experienced player out there in Adam Tong, being met by Jason Soldaris, probably just on the edge of the 18-yard box. Tongy wanting to hurry up and take, and Jason obviously playing silly buggers with him.
Two good goalkeepers here. Can one of them guess right and get near one of these penalties? Adam Tong steps up and finds the bottom corner again, and enjoys the moment as well, and just lets a couple of supporters behind the goal know that he put that one into the bottom corner without any problems. Now it's John Stein stepping up to the spot. Fifth and decisive penalty. Ice cold in these situations normally. And he gets it past Spence again. Spence guessing the right way on that occasion, but Stein's penalty was low enough and easy enough. And it's time for the skipper to step up. Not the skipper tonight, of course, but the club captain, Trent Cagey. Floreat have scored all 5 of their penalties. Can Trent Cagey keep Bayswater in the shootout? He can. Straight down the middle. Ice cool again. And it's a brave man who puts a spot kick down the middle, Alex.
Yeah, just all the confidence in the world there by TK, and he ensured that, knowing that Jason's going to dive either way, which he has for all other pens, and he's just put it straight down the middle.
Jesse Fuller is next to step up. Ex-Coburn and Armidale. 16 appearances last season. And again, it's low and in the bottom corner. 6-5 Floreat. And again, Bayswater have to score to stay in the shootout. Saldaris is off his line to meet Jack Allen. Allen, of course, was the hero at the end of the 90 minutes when he lashed in that unstoppable drive. Can he score to keep Bayswater alive? It's saved! Saldaris saves with his foot, and Floreat Athena have won back-to-back night series titles. Fans invade the pitch. The Floreat team celebrate with the fans behind the goal. And Floreat Athena wins 7-6 on penalties. Jack Allen looks awfully disappointed here as he comes off the field, but he should not be forgotten that that strike in the 90th minute was absolutely tremendous. And Floreat Athena winning the shootout. We know it's a lottery, Alex, but did they deserve that win over the course of the game, did you feel?
Yeah, it seemed that they in patches they did have control of the game, but again, Bayswater coming back late in that game and ensuring that it did go to penalties. And once it goes to penalties, as you said, it is a lottery. And once again, Floreat 2 weeks in a row have won 7-6 in penalties. So again, Jason Saldaris with the crucial save, and unfortunately for Jack Allen, who was the hero to ensure him to go to penalties, has been the unlucky one to have missed the decisive penalty.
Great night of football here in WA. Great crowd at Frank Drago Reserve, and I think Alex Navatsas has to get himself downstairs to the presentation. Thanks for joining me tonight, Alex. And Floreat Athena fans still jovial behind the goal, and the Athena players are relishing the moment. I know it's only pre-season and it's only the NPL night series, but you can certainly see that it means a lot to the players to win some silverware and enjoy some reward for the hard work they've put in. during the months of December, January and February. So earlier it was Forestfield 3, Guelph Croatia 1. A win there for Forestfield United, who came from behind after trailing 1-0. And they came from behind to storm back to a 3-1 win. And in the NPL Night Series final, it was Bayswater City 1, Floreat Athena 1. John Steins opening the scoring midway through the second half before Jack Allen equalised in stoppage time to force the game to a penalty shootout. But it was Allen that had his penalty saved by Jason Saldaris in the shootout. And Floreat Athena won 7-6 on penalties.
Put your hands together for the two finalists of the 2019 NPL final, Floreat Athena and Bayswater City.
Round of applause for both teams here. Down to Alex Navassis for the presentation. I've been Tommy Dolman. We'll speak to you soon.